What makes a horror game truly terrifying? Is it jump scares, the atmosphere, or is it something more personal? A game that knows when you're feeling safe and decides to punish you for it. Today we're diving deep into the most innovative feature of the Dead Space remake, the Intensity Director. This isn't just a random event generator, it's a psychological engine designed to keep you in a state of perpetual dread. The scariest part? It works almost too well. Let's break down how Motive Studio rebuilt the Ishimura to hunt you. But first, let me give you a glimpse into the ship itself. In the original 2008 Dead Space, the scares were handcrafted. You walk through a door and the game would trigger a scripted event. It was brilliant but predictable on repeat playthroughs. For the remake, Motive introduced the Intensity Director. Senior game director Eric Baptiste describes it as a way for us to control the stress level of the player. Think of it as a dungeon master of a horror RPG, sitting behind the screen watching your every move. It's a sophisticated system that monitors your state in real time. Isaac's heart rate, your ammo, how long you've been in a quiet area, and then dynamically layers events to manipulate your tension. There are three main event types. First, audio cues. Necromorph scratching in events, distant screams, sudden silence. The second one is environmental changes. Lights flickering and cutting out, fog rolling in, steam bursting from pipes. And the last one is enemy spawns, necromorphs dropping from vents or crawling out of the shadows. The game has a library of over 1,200 unique events. The director doesn't just throw them at you randomly. It combines them like a recipe to create moments that feel terrifyingly organic. And now, let me show you some examples of the Intensity Director I captured while playing. If the director just threw necro mode at you every 2 minutes, you get desensitized, or worse, frustrated. So the system tracks what the developer calls peaks and valleys. It ensures you get moments of respite, the valleys, so that when the next peak hits, it actually shocks you. Associate lead level designer Steven Siciola mentioned that they don't want the game to be back-to-back-to-back high-intensity events, because they would be emotionally exhausting. But here's where it gets really clever. The director is designed to weaponize your own paranoia. Audio director Oliver Asselin explained their philosophy perfectly. Let's say you walk into a room. You hear a necromorph in a vent. Then you hear the vent break, and a monster spawns. That's scenario A. The next time you hear a vent break, you immediately aim your plasma cutter at it, expecting a fight. But this time, nothing happens. The director just wasted your time and made you paranoid. Then, the third time, the vent breaks, but the monster spawns behind you, because you were focused on the vent. The director is essentially running a psychological operation on you, breaking down your expectation to make you never feel safe. The system works so well that it even scared the people who built it. Senior system designer Dan Kim admitted, honestly, even having complete knowledge of the system, you can be quite stressed by the results. He described walking into a dark corridor, having an enemy spawn behind him, and then as he turned, another one spawned in exact same spot. But my favorite anecdote comes from the developer's playtesting. Eric Baptizat recalled giving feedback on a chapter, saying that was good, that was really spooky, only to find out it wasn't a scripted set piece at all. It was the Intensity director generating that perfect moment on the fly. It created a scene that felt as planned as a horror movie, but it was 100% dynamic. But still, the Intensity director is not flawless, and in my opinion is underutilized. The Intensity director is an ambitious and often brilliant stress engine that dynamically layers audio cues, environmental changes, and enemy spawns to keep players on edge. Its goal is to create a unique, unpredictable experience for everyone who steps onto the Ishimura. However, for all its sophistication, the system has a notable limitation that tempers its always-on promise. Its most dynamic and surprising behavior is largely confined to backtracking, while the critical path of the main story remains heavily scripted. This critique isn't that the system fails, but that its sphere of influence is segmented. Here's a breakdown of its limitations. A tale of two systems, storyless exploration. The Intensity director operates under a dual-layer system to ensure the narrative beats land as intended. During the first-time progression through a story chapter, the encounters are largely predetermined. This is a deliberate design choice to preserve the handcrafted scares and pacing of the original game's most memorable moments. The director takes a backseat to the level designers. However, the system truly awakens when you are backtracking. The developers designed it specifically to keep the many return trips for side quests and collectibles from becoming a tedious, monster-free chore. In these instances, the randomization kicks in, altering lightning, spawning enemies in previously cleared rooms, and triggering audio cues to maintain a sense of danger. The consequence: a predictable first playthrough. This design leads to a mixed player experience. For first-time player focused on the main story, the Intensity director's impacts can feel minimal. They will encounter the same major scares and enemy placements as everyone else. As one player on the Steam forum noted, a common criticism is that almost every single encounter is similar to the original, with the difference only becoming apparent on repeated visits to areas. In contrast, for the completionist or the New Game Plus veteran, the director is a revelation. It transforms the Ishimura into a living, unpredictable threat, rewarding exploration with genuine tension and surprising even those who know the ship's layout by heart. An uneven experience. This isn't a flaw in the system's execution, but rather in its application. The Intensity director functions less like a constant, omnipresent force and more like a background process that is only granted full control when the main story isn't at risk of being disrupted. While this ensures a coherent narrative, it creates a slightly uneven experience. The game feels most alive and reactive when you are doing non-essential tasks, which can inadvertently discourage players from sticking strictly to the critical path, as that's where the truly dynamic horror resides. The Intensity director isn't just a tech demo feature, it's the key to making the Dead Space remake feel fresh for veterans and terrifying for newcomers. It respects the original blueprint, but builds a new, unpredictable house of horrors on top of it. It ensures that no two players' journey through the USG Ishimura are exactly the same. So when you're finally playing, remember, if a hallway feels too quiet or a light starts to flicker, it's not a glitch. It's the director watching you. And also remember, when the Ishimura failure is not an option, it's inevitable.